Hello everyone, this week in Star Citizen, let's take a look. Monday, this week in Star Citizen, Tuesday, Ship Showdown 2956, Phase 1 commences. Wednesday, Foundation Festival kicks off, Foundation Festival Freefly begins, Roadmap Update, Roadmap Roundup, Friday, RSI Weekly Newsletter. I don't know why CIG still calls this roadmap. This is not a roadmap, this is just a release view for the very next patch. Because since February 2022, we don't have a roadmap anymore. In February 2022, CIG wrote a long article why they removed the roadmap, and CIG called us roadmap watchers. But there still remains a very loud contingent of roadmap watchers who see projections as promises. No, we never did this. Not every item on a roadmap has to make it in time. But the problem is much bigger with Star Citizen than just that. Here's a graphic Bluebird made in 2021, and you can see all the items that were removed from the roadmap. For example, Hacking Tier 0 was on 3.13 first quarter 2021, then Hacking Tier 0 moved to 3.14 second quarter 2021. Where's Hacking Tier 0 now? Hacking Tier 0 vanished into the void. We had Space Mines on 3.15 roadmap third quarter 2021. Zero G Push and Pull 3.15 third quarter 2021. Dynamic door and ramp alignment, which is very important. Terrain is not flat. We don't want flat terrain. 3.16 fourth quarter 2021. And a lot more items removed from previous roadmaps that are still not in the game. Again, it's totally fine if not every item on a roadmap makes it in time. There can always be unforeseen hurdles. However, if items like, for example, Hacking Tier 0 and Dynamic Door and Ramp Alignment were on the roadmap 5 years ago, but are still nowhere to be seen, is this really a roadmap, or is this some kind of wish list or some kind of marketing tool? All we have since February 2022 is a release view for the very next patch and a progress tracker that does not track progress. This name is Ultimate Gaslighting, Chris. Congratulations. All we can see in the progress tracker is that someone was supposed to work on something for a certain amount of time, but we don't know if this person even worked on this, and we don't know how far the progress is. For example, BMM was on previous progress trackers. What is the definition of a roadmap? A roadmap in gaming refers to a plan or representation that outlines the steps and milestones involved in development and release of a game. It serves as a guide for game developers, publishers, and even gamers to understand the direction and timeline of a game's development. A roadmap should be honest. A roadmap should not be some kind of wish list. Was CIG's roadmap a marketing tool to generate hype, to sell more ships? In February 2019, Aaron Roberts made some big statements about the roadmap that all fell flat.
It's like, with this release of the roadmap, I have very much made sure and asked the team that what we put in there is what we can achieve with what we have right now.
Okay. Specifically
with also, the fact that people may be pulled onto Squadron, and and we know that that there's basically this work. So this although there's a really good set of stuff in there, my hope is we'll be able to add some stuff to the roadmap. But what I've done this time rather than last time is the last time we said we think we can do this, we had it in the roadmap. This time we put in what we are pretty damn sure we can do.
Okay.
So I'm signing up for this. And then all we're going to do is now, hopefully, if we do build a team and get more people, then what we'll do then is we'll actually be able to add stuff to the roadmap. So for a bit of luck, then towards the end of the year, we'll be able to actually start adding stuff to the roadmap rather than taking it out, which would be great.
Nothing of what Aaron told us was ever true, not in 2019, not in 2020, not in 2021. And yeah, since 2022, we don't have a roadmap anymore. So hubris to state, towards the end of the year, 2019, we will be able to actually add stuff to the roadmap instead of taking it out. It's just pathetic. If you think CIG had to remove the roadmap wish list, fine, but please stop calling what we have since February 2022 a roadmap. This is not a roadmap. I think this is now the third or fourth week in a row without any video content. Nothing at all. Here's what Jared said about this in January 2026, half a year ago.
And as far as shows like this are concerned, well, I'm happy to report that we're going back to weekly from now on. So whether that's ISC, SEL, BTS, or whatever a particular episode is called, we'll be back with something to share each and every week that we can. I've missed you.
And here's my data. Inside Star Citizen in red, Star Citizen Live in green. 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. CRG's excuse for 2025 was a year of playability. We don't want to track our devs in front of the camera. They should fix bugs instead, which of course was a big, fat lie. This is Chris, letter from a Sherman, December 2024. 2025 will focus on playability. As we jump into the new year, 2025, our primary focus across our Star System teams is clear: improving playability. Our drive for playability is around three critical areas: performance, stability, and content. We understand that a live environment must be far more reliable and consistent, and we are determined to deliver on this. This was a big, fat lie. We got less new mechanics in 2025, but CRG did not improve playability in 2025 at all. And there's no excuse for 2026. By the way, there was an error in my previous numbers. I corrected it. We even have less episodes. I even count everything. We had 2 Star Citizen Lives this year that were nothing but sales shows. One was for the new ships at DefenseCon this year. The other one was a poor Odin sales show. I still counted them. This means if I'm very generous, we had 14 videos this year, but we are in week 31. What happened to your statement from January 2026, Jared? Was this just hot air without any meaning?
Well, I'm happy to report that we're going back to weekly from now on.
By the way, subscription money is supposed to get used for CRG's weekly shows, but since 2025 we don't have weekly shows anymore. I cancelled my subscription, and I suggest you're doing it too. Another interesting fact is, of course, Freefly begins. When Star Citizen is in one of the worst states ever. You can argue it's even worse than 3.18 with persistent entity streaming. Yeah, but there will be a Freefly. I hope that a lot of people participate and see in what sorry state this game still is in year 14 after more than $1 billion in funding. I think it's safe to assume that the majority of this money didn't go into the Star Citizen MMO. The money went into Chris Interactive Movies Quarter 42, so Chris can cosplay as a movie director again. And of course, inexpensive art for all their studios, Chris Private Cinema, and most likely into Chris, Aaron and Sandy's pockets, but I cannot prove this yet. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye. Auf Wiedersehen. But I want to try what happens when ships are underwater now. Okay, Flicker, I'm not laughing at you. From my point of view, this was a perfect landing. I've seen nothing wrong with this landing. It looked perfectly fine. In the old days, when we had a player cap of 24, Star Citizen usually played rather well. There were some issues, but it was not too bad. Then CRG increased player cap to 50, later to 100 players, and issues started to appear. In 3.18 we got PS, persistent entity streaming, because Chris thinks it is so important that he can find a coke bottle he threw in the woods 4 weeks earlier.
And also have the entire system be persistent. So, if you drop a Coke can in a forest somewhere and walk away, that Coke can is remembered, the state of the universe is remembered. So unless someone comes and, takes it, it will still be there if you came back even in a month's time or whatever.
No Chris, no one cares. Maybe if PS would work without any negative consequences, yeah, maybe. But as it stands, PS seems to be a huge strain on your servers and your database. CRG doesn't even do any cleanups, just go to an outpost and you can see dozens of bricked ships that are just kept there for days, weeks and months. Those bricked ships are still using up server and database resources. We cannot even salvage them, we cannot move them, If you try to move them, you are getting a crime stat. Why not just remove them? And since we got PS in 3.18, things have gotten way worse with things.
PS is the state of the simulation that's now persisting. That's great. It's behind us.
You serious?
Then in 4.0 we got the first iteration of static server meshing, and CRT increased player cap to up to 800 players on a server shard, and since then these things are really, really bad. In 4.5 we got engineering, and now CRT servers that were already way overworked have to take care, have to store, and have to distribute even more data. Those things are totally out of control. CRT's old and ancient engine that was never supposed to be used in MMO, CRT's terrible netcode, and CRT's terrible servers cannot deal with an MMO. Hey, you're still here. You might want to join me on Twitter or on Blue Sky.